Their numbers were relatively few in the early stages of mankind's unfoldment, but the process of speeding up the development is rapidly going forward, and many are today fitting themselves for the higher education, in the true sense of the term. Much more will be accomplished when the educators of the world grasp the purpose of the process as a whole planned unfoldment, and will then give their attention to the instinctual, intellectual, and intuitive training of the race in such a manner that the whole 28 years of training will be seen as an ordered, directed process, and the goal will be clearly visioned. It will be apparent, then, that those to be taught will be gauged from the angles upon which I have touched. A. Those capable of being rightly civilized. This refers to the mass of men. B. Those capable of being carried forward into the world of culture. This includes a very large number. C. Those who can add to the assets of civilization and culture, the equipment required for the process of functioning as conscious souls, not only in the three worlds of instinctual and intellectual living, but in the world of spiritual being also, and yet with complete continuity of consciousness and with a complete triple integration. Not all can pass into the higher grades, and this must be appreciated. The gauging of ability will be based upon an understanding of the ray types, the science of esoteric psychology, on a comprehension of the condition of the glandular and physiological equipment, upon certain specific tests, and upon the new form of astrology. I would here make a simple request to the earnest student. Ponder on the following four statements. 1. The Antukani expresses the quality of the magnetism, which opens the door into the teaching center of the Great White Lodge. 2. The Antukana is the conscious integrating force. 3. The Antukana is the medium of light transference. 4. The Antukana concerns the continuity of man's perception. The process of unfoldment. I would like to add to the preceding analogy one more, which will serve to clarify the process of unfoldment in your minds and make the entire theme, from the racial angle, still more clear and definite. General racial development, civilization, path of purification, training of the intelligentsia, culture, path of discipleship, production of the Illuminati, illumination, path of initiation. It will be apparent to you, therefore, that the whole goal of the future and of the present effort is to bring humanity to the point where it, occultly speaking, enters into light. The entire trend of the present urge forward, which can be noted so distinctly in the race, is to enable the race to acquire knowledge, to transmute it into wisdom by the aid of the understanding, and thus to become fully enlightened. Enlightenment is the major goal of education. It is precisely in this region of thought and of recognition that the distinction is found between the work of the Buddha and the work of the Christ. The Buddha achieved enlightenment and was the first of our humanity to do so. Lesser grades of enlightenment have been frequently achieved by many previously incarnating sons of God. Christ, because of the attainment of the Buddha, and because of his own point in evolution, was enabled to inaugurate a new era and institute a new goal, wherein another divine principle was enabled to come into manifestation, and to achieve general recognition. He inaugurated the age of love, and gave to the people an expression of a new divine aspect, that of love. The Buddha culminated the age of knowledge. The Christ began the age of love. Both ages embody and express two major divine principles. Thus the new education has been made possible by the work of the Buddha. This will indicate to you how slowly evolution moves. The new religion has been made possible by the work and the life of the Christ. Speaking esoterically, the knowledge petals of the human egoic lotus have unfolded, and the Buddha accelerated the rapid action of this happening. Now the love petals of the egoic lotus of the human family are also unfolding, the rapidity of this occurrence being the result of Christ's action. Can you understand the significance of what I am attempting to tell you? and can you grasp the meaning of what I am going to say? The points that I am seeking to make are as follows. Because the three knowledge petals of the human egoic lotus are now racially unfolded, and when I use the word racial, I mean the human family, and not the Aryan race, it is now possible for the love petals to unfold. The energy flowing from the outer tier of petals has had a triple effect. 1. It has vitalized the entire body of humanity, and has produced the present speed, intelligent, or should I say, intellectual civilization, and our modern culture, wherever it is found. The brain of humanity is now open to vitalization, hence mass education. 2. It has opened a channel so that the love petals can vitalize the astral body of humanity, thus leading to general cooperation and group love. The heart of humanity is now open to vitalization, hence the philanthropic, goodwill and welfare movements of today. 3. It will make possible, eventually, the vitalizing of the mind-body by the will or sacrifice petals, and this will give awareness of the plan, directed purpose, and group synthesis. The first of these three knowledge petals opened in Lemurian times and brought a measure of light to the physical plane consciousness of humanity. The second opened in Atlantean times, and brought light to the astral plane. And in our race, the Aryan, the third petal opened and brought the light of mental knowledge to man. Thus was completed, in the three races, the arduous task of vitalizing the threefold manifested world, physical, astral, mental, and the energy of intelligence became a powerful, ruling factor. Now the task of vitalizing man with the energy of love, is proceeding and making much progress, and the effects, because they emanate from the second aspect of divinity, will be produced with great facility, and in the realm of conscious awareness. I say this for your encouragement. Through the activity of the energy of knowledge you have civilization, culture, illumination, and in the second case you will have cooperation, loving, understanding, group love. There are higher correspondences for which we have as yet no adequate words. Cooperative goodwill is all that can, at this time, be expected from the masses, and this is the sublimation of the forces released through civilization. Loving understanding should be the hallmark of the cultured, wiser group, plus an ability to correlate the world of meaning with the world of outer effects. Ponder on this sentence. Group love is, and must be, the outstanding characteristic of the Illuminati of the world, and it is at this time the motivating power of the masters of the wisdom, until such time that enough disciples are expressive of this particular force. When the will or sacrifice petals of the human egoic lotus are opened, there will then be the appearance of a still higher triad of correspondences. These will be known as participation, purpose, precipitation. Therefore, as a result of the evolutionary processes in humanity, there will appear the following category of forces, or energies, each of them demonstrating certain definite qualities, and they will parallel the opening of the petals in the human lotus, page 56. You can note from the tabulation that the love petals are indeed showing signs of opening, and this will make clear to you the possibility of certain hope for events. The world has to move forward regularly and in order. Premature happenings are usually disastrous. All this concerns the cultural unfoldment of the race and is proceeding apace. When the conditioning factors are better understood and their method and purpose are grasped, we shall see an effort on the part of those interested in education, to move with greater rapidity. This will hasten the achievement of culture by the masses, and the attainment of illumination by the more intellectual group. There is one point that I would like to make here. In the future, illumination will be viewed primarily from the intellectual angle, and the whole subject will be approached mentally, and not so definitely, as is the case today, from the angle of religion. Illumination, mysticism and religion have gone hand in hand. One of the major contributions of the present age to the unfoldment of the race has been the growing recognition that spirituality is not to be confused with and confined to the acceptance and the following of the precepts contained in the world scriptures. It cannot be held down to the implications given to these scriptures by an orthodox priestly caste, nor can the trends of ancient theologies govern. God can be known by His works, and these works can be more easily appreciated through the revelations. Education and science, knowledge, civilization, culture, illumination paddles the masses of men, the intellectual spiritual man, path of discipleship, path of initiation, path of purification, plus religion and philosophy. Love, cooperation, loving understanding, group love paddles the intellectuals, the hierarchy, world aspirants plus governments, and social order. Will and participation, purpose, precipitation, sacrifice, in the plan, directed will of all, of the plan by the paddles disciples, hierarchy, of science then by the hymns, prayers and sermons of the churches throughout the world. What then will be the task of the churches in the future? And what will be the major objective of the coming new religion? Primarily it will be to bring about the opening of the love paddles, thus inaugurating an era of true cooperation, loving understanding and group love. This will be done by training the people, and the individual in the rules of right approach. The keynote of the new education is essentially right interpretation of life past and present and its relation to the future of mankind. The keynote of the new religion must and should be right approach to God, transcendent in nature, and immanent in man, whilst the keynote of the new science of politics and of government will be right human relations, and for both of these education must prepare the child. Those working in these three groups must eventually proceed in the closest cooperation, and it is for this planned understanding and this intelligent activity of mankind that the new education must prepare. In the above comments, plus what I have given earlier, you have the few suggestions which I have sought to make in connection with the cultural unfoldment of the race. The true history of humanity, which is long and varied and lost in the speculative indications of the esotericists, which, when true, are seldom susceptible of proof, have brought humanity to a point in its evolution when the light of knowledge is definitely permeating the dark places of the earth. A mass of information is now available to those who have the ability to read and write, and the number of these is growing every day, whilst the means of transmission and of communication have practically annihilated time, and brought the whole world together as a functioning unit. A very high level of educational attainment is also emerging in all civilized countries. The average citizen is in possession of a vast amount of data on every imaginable subject. Much of it is ill-digested and unusable, yet it tends to the general elevation of the mental process. The output of men's thoughts in writing and in speech, embodying that which is old, that which is new and modern, and that which is superficial and relatively worthless, is so vast today that it is impossible to register it, and the lifetime of a book is brief. To crown all, there is a definite effort to bring the resources of education within the reach of every man upon the planet. This eventually will be done, and the intended type of education will accomplish the following